So welcome to the Node.js Node API team meeting for September 9th, 2022. We'll go through our standard approach of looking at the agenda. Before we get started, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? I think the one I might mention just is there is an upcoming Collaborator Summit being planned in Dublin. And so if anybody's in that area or is going to NodeConf EU, which is the right after the Collaborator Summit, it'd be great to see you there. I don't know if anybody here is planning to make it.
You said
I'm afraid sorry.
Sorry, Chenzong.
I'm afraid I still cannot travel around, so
Okay. Yeah, it's not necessarily, still lots of people can't travel yet. So okay, I was just thinking if we had a few people, we might try and plan something for the Collaborator Summit, but hopefully for the next time. Okay, let me share my screen and we can go from there. So share screen. Okay, so we can start up with the add the non-C line language bindings, and I think the better coverage of Node API on YouTube. I think it was Nick who was looking at those two, and he let us know he couldn't make it this time. I assume he'll be back next time. So might as well skip that. The drive towards full coverage, Jack. I know you've been working on that. Anything we should touch on?
Yeah. So I opened out the PR in Node.js API. So there's a few I think that can be looked at.
Yeah, I think I landed one, didn't I?
Yeah. There's like I think I added a new one. A couple days ago. Yeah.
Okay. So right. So we still have these. I think I landed one, but there were two more. So yeah, you're doing good work. We just need to get people to take a look so we can get those landed.
Yeah.
So this was the latest one you added?
Yep.
Okay. That one I suspect sounds like some of the threading ones take a little bit more time to take a look at. These are probably more straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. And we'll try and look at them. If anybody else has time too, if you can take a look and at your LGTM, we'll get those landed.
All right, thank you. Right, okay, so here we were. That takes us to the stale issues. Let's take a look at those. So, okay, so no new stale issues. This one I think we've talked about. I think Nick was going to take a look at when he gets back, so nothing really more to talk about that one. This one, again, yeah, I think we're waiting for Kevin to take a look. This one, I know, Vladimir, you were looking at this one, right?
Yeah, I had some initial implementation. I didn't do more progress there yet.
Okay.
So
it looks like Legendicast had already approved that one. Is that one, so that one's ready to land? Or is it that you still have more work you want to do on that one first? I know you were going to do some more, if I'm remembering now, you were going to do like a C++ version too, right?
Right, but we can do like at least something.
Yeah.
Right? I can do like a follow-up PR. Even this PR is relatively big already.
Yeah,
so
right, exactly. That's what we said.
For you guys to review it and say if something else needs to be corrected.
Okay, so this one's basically ready to go, and you just have some follow-on stuff. Perfect. Okay, we'll try and get.
I believe this is a great work, and we can do the C++ in a follow-up PR.
Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and land this one, Legendicast? Do you have access to that repo to be able to do that?
Yeah, I can do it later. People.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's it. All we had from the stale issue, so that's good. Tracking issue for modules that we've noticed that are ported. don't see there's anything new there, but I did notice one thing, which I thought it would be good to share here. I don't know if this is a new feature, but like this used by, I just noticed. So basically GitHub says there's like 1.6 million repos, I think, who have this like in dependencies or something like that.
I am actually a little bit confused by this number, since I've seen repositories that they are not directly dependent, but it's marked as dependencies. So I'm not sure how GitHub calculates the dependencies, but I'm sure this is a value of numbers, but I'm just sometimes confused about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't exactly know how they would calculate that number, but it seemed like a interesting number. I guess I could look at like NaN as an equivalent just to see what it says for that one. Okay, so it says 10 million. So yeah, so I don't know what the calculation is, but it's just another indicator of usage, and seems to be quite a lot there, so it's good. Okay, I haven't done anything on big debugging and testing, so now it's like particular issues. Does anybody have any particular ones they want to pull up to discuss?
Or you,
Go ahead.
yeah, I remember like last time we discussed about new use with references for all types.
Yep.
So I did this small prototype, if you guys can look at.
Which PR is that? Is that
Well, it's the same PR we used to have.
NPR? Okay. So that's in here. There.
All right, so 42557.
Okay.
425. So it's a draft at this point. It just has changes to the code. No tests,
Right.
no document changes yet. But apparently, core of the change is very simple.
Right.
If you
Okay.
want.
Yeah. There's not much.
Yeah. No public API change. The only flag I'm adding that the value can be potentially be represented as a weak pointer. So see, during construction, initialize it as saying if value is object or function, then can be potentially a weak pointer. And everything what I do, like then we're saying clear weak, we're just checking if this flag there we do something, otherwise we do nothing. But if we set a weak reference, apparently our ref count becomes 0. So in this case, if it can be weak, it's pretty much exactly the old code. But if it can't be weak, we're just simply resetting persistent reference.
Okay.
So what we're saying, like if it's not object, if it's not function, it can be big reference, and it's very simple change in the end.
I guess the question might be, do you cover the case where it becomes weak, but then somebody increments the reference count? That should probably throw an error, right?
Yeah, we say in documentation we say we're supposed to throw error in this case.
So we already would throw an error if that was the. So let's see. File.
At least documentation says it.
Right. Yeah.
I think in reality we know.
Reference graph.
Yeah, in reality we don't do it.
Okay.
But we need to fix it. We need to just match our code to documentation.
Right.
Or fix documentation one way or another. You see, like to to-file line says like calling this when the ref count is 0 and then object is unavailable results in error, right? Like we mean it in documentation, at least here.
Right. So this, but it might be covered through this, right? Like this reference. We'd have to look at that ref might throw an error if there was
but we don't use exceptions, so technically the result will be still success here. But technically speaking, what will happen if we have like non-object type? If we bounce from 0, we perfectly like our value, whatever value inside of reference will be just simply invalid. Like it will be no value at all. Yes, the reference counter can be incremented, but it's pretty much like a reference in null after that.
Yeah, that's a problem. We already have.
Okay, so it's still possible to increment a reference count. If you've gone to 0 and the thing's gone away. That was the one. Okay, so that's the one thing that came to mind just in terms of the.
So pretty much this is just core idea at this point,
right?
And we can do, and even like I was starting to think about doing as a feature, but I think it's the change looks so trivial we might not even need to do it. It's,
right. So I guess it's that does it, but still it's the. I think the feature part was around like we're adding new functionality, right? So if you start to use it, you could still break the sort of, the model of you've targeted a certain Node API version, and then it doesn't actually run on older versions of Node.
Yeah, but technically, or I mean, like if you have a module which relies on these new references,
right? Exactly.
And then this module can be used somewhere in old code, it can get in trouble, right?
Right, exactly. Like say you target Node API, I don't know, 7 that's supported in the earliest node that you want to support. But you start to use this because you don't realize that it's not in Node API 7, right? Whereas if we have the feature thing, we could actually say, well, no, you can't use that feature unless you're targeting Node API 10, right?
Okay, but how we would do it? Like it cannot be, in this case, compile time error or something.
Because well, it would be compile time because like we already have guard, like you can set a define that says I'm targeting Node API version X. And if you set that version, then the include file like doesn't include the things that aren't in that version. So like if you have a function that isn't in that version, it won't let you compile against it. And similarly, the define for the feature flag could not be included, right?
Oh, okay. So technically, what you're saying that we can do it on this level. So if you target some kind of latest version of Node, so this behavior will be light up. If you're saying you target some previous version of Node API, this behavior will be not available.
Exactly. Like so, if we go to the Node API, just native API dot H. Like in here, you have these. Let me find where it starts, but
yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So and basically the definition of the feature flag would be in one of the Node API versions, and so if you're below that version, if you're targeting below that version, you just can't use it.
Okay. Yeah, I can do it. I just want to kind of discuss first this core implementation. As for the features, like I also have a question about some design ideas. Like my initial implementation feature was more like bit flags, right? But we can probably have only 64 such bit flags. Should be enough or not. But the second idea what I'm entertaining right now is actually to have the whole this feature to be just as one string. And effectively in a string, we can put just some semicolon separated values, if you like. And we can be kind of future proofed, and we can put anything in this string, if you like.
Right. I mean, I think so it's because right. So we're gonna need to have a method which is like, okay, here, set your feature flags.
Right. Like we need to have probably 3 different additional APIs. What I think about, like ability to test a feature available or not, and also being able to set and or remove feature like during runtime if we want to. But also I want to have this set of features to be passed during module registration, where it's pretty much what. And during module registration, I want to use one of 4 available slots. We have 4 pointers reserved in our an API module structure. So previously I was planning to pass the whatever can be converted to pointers, just integer. But now I think like we can pass a string pointer. And it's very simple and extensible, future-proof.
Yeah, and performance, you're only calling it once, so like performance shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, internally we probably have to convert it to a bit string or something that's, and even I guess for setting it, maybe you want to, like, because basically somebody's going to need to have, we probably want to define the feature flags, right, somehow.
Right.
And but yeah, something that is not limited would be nice.
Because I've read like 64 bits or like 32 bits. I don't know if we're still using 32-bit platform. Maybe not enough.
Right. I
know we don't have a kind of fast pace of changes right now, but who knows? Maybe we'll kind of pick up at some point. Who was so stupid inventing just allowing us only 32-bit flags?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there's any good examples for how people have done that with a string. I mean, you could just make it like it's effectively a number, but specified as through a string.
Okay.
The only thing with that is like how to make sure that compile time flag thing, because we do want to define the bits or like the flags themselves as defines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let me think more about it. Alternative design was I was thinking about passing maybe an array of integers. In this case, we'll have just each flag as integer, and we just, for example, if we say this array must be 0 terminated, so in this case we can use only one pointer to this array. It would work too, probably.
Yep. Yeah. No, that makes sense too. That's a good yes.
Okay. Maybe it will work too.
Okay, so in this case,
a little bit more about it, but what I want to from today's meeting, I want to kind of get your general idea if it might work. The only caveat here, like previously, we kind of allowed to use Vec reference for symbols, but at least in Hermes engine, I don't know how to implement a Vec reference for symbols. So that's why, like, for here we're saying it can be Vec only object of function, which has more generic JavaScript backtop approach.
For about the topic about referencing symbols as a Vec reference, I suppose that TC39 is adding support for symbols as Vec map keys. So I suppose engines will eventually need to implement Vec reference on symbols, if I understand correctly.
Oh, symbols can be?
It's a stage 3 proposal, so it's not yet finalized, but I believe it's on its way to the ECMAScript finalization.
I see.
So that can be in the near future, but I suppose, this can be part of the language.
I see. But for now, what do you think? Should we allow symbols to be weak?
I'm still hesitant about the fact that engines may behave differently on how the weak behaves. Like, say, they can still perform eagerly on the garbage collection, and users doesn't have control on it. So I suppose disallowing with reference on symbols are still matching our semantics of this API, but doesn't break our documentation. But if engines allows it, then it will be great. So, but the only problem is that people cannot say that the weak reference will I suppose there will be a breakage between implementations if we allow it.
I think the thing is we've already said it's allowed, so like that would be another reason why like the feature opt-in makes sense, because we'd be like removing functionality here if we said that symbols couldn't be used, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's confusing too.
I understand previously we put symbol here because we most probably needed to have really a strong reference to symbols because of I think it was a scenario related to errors, right? Or we had scenario where we had weak symbols.
I think like if it's something we're concerned about it being supportable on different engines, then maybe it does make sense, like in this feature flag, to turn it off. I don't know, Cast, do you think like basically it would be if you opt into this feature, well, okay, you can now do more types, but symbol isn't, or should they be different feature flags? I don't know.
Well, I don't have an answer for this yet, but I think I might take a deep look into this and how do we handle this between, like, say, different versions. It's a problem about that, the fact that we previously added this symbol support without the feature flag we mentioned.
Yeah, I think now that's what I was thinking, the same thing. We really should have done it with that versus just adding, because we added something that we could have that same problem of backwards compatibility on.
Yeah, right. So that's a problem we already have. So I think I may take a deep look into it. So I don't have an answer now.
Okay, but it'll either be like it's yeah. Okay, so yeah, Agenda Cast, you can come up with a recommendation of what we do. That would be great. And the feature flags would let us at least introduce something that might be more properly managed than how we did it before.
Technically, symbol behavior for strong reference will be exactly the same. We're just simply saying that the weak reference will not be there because currently JavaScript standard does not support it, essentially.
Right.
Because we're saying now Node API is supposed to be kind of more aligned with whatever standard does. So kind of to set expectations.
Right. I could just see where, like, maybe we introduce a feature flag that basically says, okay, I want to remove symbols being able to be weak. And, people who want to target the broadest support could then turn that on, right? Like if we think it's going to break somebody. But I think if Legendicast is going to think more about it, we can wait for that recommendation and figure out what to do.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can
it should be a
continue
simple
discussion on the GitHub.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise you're right that this is a pretty small, like it's basically just lets other types not throw an error. And with the feature flag turning it on, it seems like a pretty simple thing to do. So it's good.
Okay. Maybe somebody else has something else to discuss. I think it's.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other things they want to bring up in particular? Otherwise, we can just look at the PRs that are there. I'll look here. Oops. Okay, this one I think I saw some. Right, still waiting for a reproduction.
There is a new issue about the background complaint. It has already been closed since we've answered in the issue. The number is 44518.
Yeah.
Background is complaining about the structure we allocated for each module registration. So as a status code, we cannot close the dynamically loaded library since we cannot assure that the library is cleanly closed or when will it can be cleanly closed. So that's the fact that we didn't unregister any node modules, node add-ons. So which can also applies to add-ons that are not dependent on node add-on, node API. So I'm wondering that. So I'm wondering that if we can have any instructions on how people can use like say techniques like Valgrind or ASIN and address sanitizer to verify their add-on. So since now this verifier just complains about the fact that the node is not unregistering this add-on records.
Right. So I'm just wondering, there is a doc. So we have this doc on investigating memory leaks with Valgrind. I wonder if adding a section in here makes any sense.
Yeah, right.
Because it could be like a section, of note.
This document is mainly for contributing to the Node.js core, which means it can be a internal documentation. So, guiding people to here might be introducing much more things just than investigating their own add-ons.
Yeah, true. I did. So I guess, are you thinking like if we put something in one of the node add-on repos or somewhere else?
I don't have a suggestion yet since I didn't find a place best documenting this behavior.
Right. Because yeah, it wouldn't be bad to have a place when people ask about this to say, yeah, this is a known. If you see this, don't worry about it, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea to document it somewhere. I don't, just trying to think of anywhere where it would make sense to. We could put it in like the, you know. Like somewhere in here under the dock. Or possibly in. You know, possibly a section in here too that was basically, you know, validating memory leaks or something like that.
Yeah, right. I believe it makes sense to add it here since people might just mainly focused on this document rather than if they are not using the C++ node add-on API.
Yep. Okay, so that's, where was that? This one, okay, so I think we could. API docs. Does that sound like it covers?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Thank you.
So it's now just like, you know, somebody wants to volunteer to do that. What was I going to say? I'm going to add it to our agenda. No, milestone. So basically, I'd say anybody who wants to do that, just volunteer in the issue. I won't get to it necessarily, you know, in the next week, but if I do find time, I might volunteer. But otherwise, if anybody else has time to volunteer, just jump in. I think that would be great. Any other ones there that we should chat about? Doesn't look like there's anything recent there. Okay, so I don't really see anything new there either, other than Jack's new addition, so that's good. Okay, so anything else we should chat about this week?
I don't have any.
Thanks. Oh. Okay, so if not, thanks for everybody's time, and we will see you next.